And they're now saying the tornado may have been a full 2 miles wide. At least 25 structures were damaged or destroyed. And that number does not include this building, South Lincoln Elementary School. Air 4 flew over the scene earlier today. The school cannot be used by teachers or students, and you can surely see why. Much of the roof is gone. Debris is everywhere. It appears that school bus was picked up and landed on its side. We have a lot to get to, including the threat of even more severe weather on the way.
We begin our team coverage with Channel 4's Ian Wright, who's been in Lincoln County since before dawn. And Ian, a long day certainly for you guys, but a longer night for those who've been affected.
That's right, Tom, and these folks who've been affected are not slowing down. In fact, they're ramping things up. They're trying to get as much done over the next couple of hours before the sun goes down as they possibly can, especially with the rain kind of picking up. They're trying to cover the holes that were left after that tornado ripped through their homes last evening. We're going to begin with Channel 4's Nancy Amon. She's about a mile away from me at the command center that's been set up. She's got an update as we learn more about the folks we lost in this storm.
Right, we had a news conference with the sheriff just about an hour ago. We learned a little bit more about the 2 deaths. The 2 who perished lived in a mobile home off Tifton Road. Now, I was out there earlier today. There was not much left of the home of John Prince and his wife Karen. John was 60 years old, Karen 44, his wife. Pieces of their house and all their belongings were blown all the way across the street. They were scattered through fields as far as the eye could see. A lot of those belongings landed in their neighbor's yard. Adam Danner, his family was not at their home at the time. They had left to take shelter in a friend's basement. When they returned, they found not only had their own house been destroyed, but their neighbors had lost their lives.
It's a total loss. There's no rebuilding, or there's no repairing it. It'll have to be rebuilt, obviously. And all of my vehicles are totaled, so it's pretty much devastation. Unfortunately, they did not survive the storm. Their house was right in the direct path here, and it just they were in it, and it didn't survive the storm. So they perished.
Now, the good news, according to the Sheriff's Department, is right now no one is missing. Everyone is accounted for that they know of. There is a curfew being set up from 6 p.m. tonight until 6 a.m. tomorrow. Anyone who needs to come into the area has to sign in and get a wristband. As you heard, 25 homes in all were totally destroyed. An unknown number were severely damaged. We heard today from the sheriff that the tornado touched down in Smith Hill. It looped around, then it came across and made a direct hit at that school, the shelter where just 30 minutes earlier people had been released to go home. The sheriff said, by the grace of God, only 2 were killed in this act of mass destruction. Live in Lincoln County, Nancy Amons, Channel 4 News.
Nancy, thank you. Before the deadly tornado, another twister moved through Lincoln County.
And someone posted this video to YouTube. What's most chilling, while that tornado was moving through, people were actually inside South Lincoln Elementary School taking shelter. After this tornado, they moved, and if they hadn't gone, they would have still been in the school building when the second tornado came through. Channel 4's Ian Wright joins us again live from the school. What a turn of events there, Ian.
I mean, Dimitri, it is amazing that they got out, and they got out before that third round of severe weather came through, because what you're finding out here in this neighborhood are pieces of the school's roof tossed across the street, and then homes that were across the street. These tiles, they're back behind the school, several hundred feet away. Go ahead and take a look at the school that we're talking about. It is just incredible those folks got out of there in time, because the roof was just peeled off from one end to the other. And then you see the destruction with the school bus there that was picked up over the curb. It was knocked into the school, according to a couple of folks, several times before finally coming to a rest several minutes later. I want to bring in Channel 4's Ann McCloy. She has been out on the scene with us all day long, talking to folks who live just across from the school. There's a number of homes that line this street, and they lost a lot as well.
Right, this is Smith Mill Road right across from the school, and so many residents right along here lost their homes. Also on Price Lane, some of the homes were actually lifted right off the foundation and carried into the homes right next door. Those homes today are now just piles of brick and wood. The homes across from South Lincoln School were leveled.
I've lost 2 houses, 2 barns, 5 tractors, 3 boats, and 4 vehicles.
Marlon Simmons lost the home he built for his family just 10 years ago and his son's house next door. The storm shelter downstairs saved their lives.
In about 3 seconds, I mean, it was gone.
Next door, an RV parked outside Kate Cooley's house ended up on its side where her family spends summers swimming.
We just picked it up and twisted it around and put it upside down in the pool.
Luckily, they weren't home at the time.
There were 2 beams that went straight through the wall into the bedroom. And so the back of the house was just totally destroyed, and that's where we stay most of the times.
Every family that we spoke to today said they felt so lucky to be alive. They got into those shelters within minutes. Actually, when the tornado sirens started going off right here at the school, the people that live right across the street ran, and they said that they were just holding down the door to their shelter, made it in just in time.
Yeah, and we heard folks say that they grabbed others they saw who were out in the neighborhood, brought them in the storm shelters with them. Channel 4's Ann McCloy, thank you so much for that reporting. And that's going to do it for us right now from Lincoln County. We're going to continue to stay out here. We've got another crew headed out here for the 10 o'clock news. But again, we'll keep you posted as things develop. These folks have got a lot of cleaning up to do. Definitely want to keep them in your thoughts over the next couple of days.
Yes, thoughts and prayers. Ian, and thank you. Air 4 flew over some of the devastation in Lincoln County today. Take a look. You can see the power of these storms right here. Just flattened these silos in Flintville. The metal is twisted, barely recognizable. And look, you can see the tracks, how the winds actually dragged the silos through the field. There are a few more just ripped apart, spilling grain across the field. And take a look at this in Fayetteville. You can see several people there digging through the debris of that building. It is hard to make out what survived the storm. A door, a bookcase, a washing machine, everything else is completely destroyed. And in Flintville, the storm ripped the roofs right off of several buildings there. This is on Vantown Road. Take a look, entire trees actually were uprooted and thrown on their sides. Fences and walls turned to debris. You can see the panels ripped right from the top of that building there, scattered in pieces around it.
Our forewarned weather alert is still in effect because of potentially severe storms moving into the area again. Lisa's in the Forewarned Weather Center with the latest on that.
And the very good news is we have no severe weather in effect right now across Middle Tennessee. A look at what we're seeing on our forewarned live Doppler radar, and we are looking at a few thunderstorms that have popped up, and this one between Murfreesboro and McMinnville is producing some lightning right now. Another a little farther to the south along 65 just to the north there of Elkton. But we've had one location where already we have had some hail produced, and that's a little farther up to the northeast. So we check here, and it's folks not too far from Cookeville reported 3/4 inch size hail, and also we've had 3/4 inch size hail reported around the Livingston area as well. But we are keeping our sights on what's going on farther down to the south, because as we head down towards Alabama, this is where things get very, very interesting. This is where the tornado watch is in effect at this point. So we're keeping a very close eye on cells like the one that you see right here. No warning out on that. Also another cell that is right through here. But there is some good news for us. We've got a front moving across the mid-state, and it looks as though that front is going to help to diminish our chances of seeing any thunderstorms, and that's the best news as all these continue to move. But at this point, we take a look and show you that we do have still our potential for severe thunderstorms in effect across the mid-state for tonight, but it's mainly confined to the southeast corner and also along the Cumberland Plateau. And with that, mainly hail and high wind. That's our biggest concern with flooding, particularly where it's already rained so much, and the threat of tornadoes is isolated with these storms tonight. We'll have more on a big change that comes for the rest of the week in just a few minutes.
We'll see you then, Lisa. There is more news to tell you about. In fact, a major new development in the Holly Bobo case. Another man now faces charges in the kidnapping and murder. Channel 4's Carly Gordon is live in Decaturville with the story.
Tom, 39-year-old Jason Autry now faces the charges for kidnapping and killing nursing student Holly Bobo. He is not the first, and TBI officials tell us he will not be the last. Now, here's the man we're talking about, Jason Autry. The TBI calls him a longtime friend of Zachary Adams, the man who's already charged in connection with the case. Officials say witnesses saw Autry and Adams with Holly Bobo after she disappeared. One of those witnesses is Adams' brother. The director of the TBI tells us they also have physical evidence, but they have yet to find Holly's body.
it's important for a lot of reasons, but especially for the Bobo family. We believe they deserve to know where their daughter's body is. And we're going to do everything we can to try to give them some closure on that.
It always very heavy on the family. I had no idea what victim families went through until we've had this experience in this community with the Bobo family.
Now, we talked exclusively with one of Autry's family members, his mother-in-law, earlier today. She told us that the TBI interviewed Autry's daughter several times. They had no idea he was about to be arrested today. She says Autry got into some problems with some drugs, but before that, she calls him a good man.
He was just a good person. He'd help with everything. My husband had hogs. He wanted to learn all about them and everything, you know, and he was just a good person.
Now, Autry is now charged with first-degree murder and especially aggravated kidnapping. He was already in jail on another aggravated assault charge. Now he's being held without bond. Both Autry and Zachary Adams are scheduled to be in court tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We, of course, will be there bringing you the latest. And stay tuned because, again, the TBI says that they expect more arrests to come and very soon. Reporting live in Decatur County, I'm Carly Gordon, Channel 4 News.
Former Vanderbilt coach James Franklin's name is now connected to the rape investigation involving 4 former players. Details next.
911, where is your emergency?
They have my baby and won't release him.
And a mother's heartbreaking call to police about an elected official. The Channel 4 I-Team investigates, still ahead.
Keep watching to win $444 from Channel 4.
There are explosive new allegations against former Vanderbilt football coach James Franklin, coming from one of his former players who was accused of rape. Tom has the details.
Well, accused rapist Brandon Vandenberg's defense team filed a motion in court today. It is so explosive the judge will not allow it to be released to us right now. But the Tennessean is reporting the filing says James Franklin, at some point before the assault, asked the victim, a Vanderbilt student, to get 15 pretty girls together to form a team to assist with recruiting. After the alleged assault, the filing claims that Franklin and another member of his staff contacted the victim to tell her they cared about her because she helped with recruiting. Franklin has, of course, left the university for the head coaching job at Penn State. The Tennessean reports Vandenberg's attorneys are also accusing prosecutors of destroying or failing to preserve certain evidence that might help their defense and asking that the case be dismissed. Now, we did contact the district attorney's office for a response to the allegations, but have not heard back. Stay with us. Did an elected official demand money from grieving families? He says no, but 2 families came to us for help. The Channel 4 I-Team investigates next. Two grieving families are accusing a funeral director of taking advantage of them after the deaths of their babies.
The Channel 4 I-Team's Kimberly Kurth has been investigating some troubling allegations. Kimberly?
That funeral director is also an elected official, the county coroner. One of these mothers claims the funeral home essentially held her baby's remains for ransom. The funeral director says he did nothing wrong, but the mother was so distraught by the dispute, she made a heartbreaking call to police for help.
911, where is your emergency?
You are about to hear a grieving mother's anguish.
I need a sheriff dispatch out to Lamb Funeral Home.
What's going on at Lamb's?
They have my baby and won't release him.
Just days after delivering a stillborn baby, she's on her way to this funeral home in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, begging a dispatcher for help.
Who has your baby and won't release it?
Lamb Funeral Home. He cussed out the funeral director, and we talked with him to get a price earlier on what it was going to cost to bury our baby, and little baby, and we won't release him to Ty County where we want him buried.
Why are they refusing to give the child?
He said that I owe money.
Brittany Jones was the mother who made that call earlier this year. She and her husband claim Lamb Funeral Home essentially held their baby for ransom during their darkest hour. They say the owner of Lamb Funeral Home, who is also the coroner in this community, asked them to pay their balance for his services before he would release their son's body to another funeral home.
I never thought someone would hold our baby just for money, and we just wound up, bury him and try to move on. So, yeah, it was really hard. It still is.
The Joneses will tell you they don't have much money and they couldn't afford to bury their baby. That's why they wanted Todd County Funeral Home to handle the services, because the owner there offered to do it for free.
We went to pick the body up and he refused to give us the body because there was a balance owed on his transportation cost. We waited until the next day before we got the remains.
The Joneses wanted one last chance to see their baby, to say their last goodbyes. They claim time was running out to embalm their son so they could have an open casket funeral. That's why they called 911 asking the police to intervene.
And it just made it that much worse.
When we brought these allegations to the National Funeral Directors Association, an international advocacy group for the funeral industry, here's how a board member reacted.
What he is doing is extremely borderline, one, unethical and almost illegal if he actually says, you're not receiving this body until I get paid. That is holding the body for ransom.
With babies and or adults, families are distraught. Sometimes they hear things or they think things that aren't necessarily so. This talking about monies, there was no monies involved at all on our behalf.
Doris Lamb agreed to sit down with us. He denies the Joneses' claim, saying he agreed to release the baby's remains the day after the family requested it, and he did not demand money.
There was no charge here. For a ransom, you have to have a demand. All we did was tell them that they would need to come the next day.
Lamb says the family was upset because they wanted him to release the remains sooner than he did. But these aren't the only allegations Lamb has faced. The Channel 4i team checked his file with the Kentucky Board of Embalmers and Funeral Directors. In 2007, a man wrote the board saying Lamb kept thousands of dollars from a prearranged funeral account. The Kentucky Attorney General's office requested Lamb pay that man's family more than $4,000 that they say he had kept from the account. The following year, Tennessee regulators said Lamb violated procedures for burial transit permits. Kentucky's Board of Funeral Directors followed with this letter saying his conduct with the permits was, quote, unprofessional. And then there's this. Another mother who lost 2 babies in the span of a few months. She did not want us to show her face, but she says Lamb demanded payment before her family could see her son the day of his visitation.
I'm grateful that I did have money, and I'm grateful that I had a family to help me. Because if I didn't, I would not have got to see my son.
Lamb says that's not true.
That's not our policy and never has been. In the same way, really, Kim, I think people hear what they want to hear. We are here to direct and help that family.
That's not what either of these families say happened during the worst days of their lives.
I don't want anybody to have to go through any more grief than what you are already losing a loved one.
Yeah.
Regarding those earlier complaints we told you about, Lamb had the option to appeal the Kentucky Board of Embalmers and Funeral Directors' decision, but the board said he did not.
Kimberly Kurth tonight, thanks. Time now for weather. Lisa's in the Fort Warren Weather Center. Another busy day.
Yes, it has been. And you know, our concern has been for those counties to the southeast, and we still have a tornado watch in that general area as well. Let's take a look at what's going on right now on our Fort Warren live Doppler radar. And actually, the news is not too bad considering the recipe was coming together. It looks as though we have a frontal system that is moving across the area, and that front should be about through here at this point. Already some much cooler air on the back side of it, and our risk for severe weather has really diminished tremendously. Now, we are still seeing a few thunderstorms, and you get them right through here. We'll watch more come up out of Alabama, but the greatest risk at this point seems to be from the possibility of hail, and we have already had 3/4 inch size hail in this area. Now, that's not enough to prompt a severe thunderstorm warning, but we are watching for a little more hail from these storms as well. So we've got that happening from around Livingston and stretching back over towards the Carthage area, and then we scoot a little farther down to the south, and we've got more thunderstorms right around Smithville. You can see some of the lightning there, and back towards Shelbyville as well. Of course, we're keeping an eye on what is going on even farther down to the south, and that's across parts of Alabama. So far, we don't see any of these cells prompting a warning, and that is very good news at this point. So even though we still have that risk out there, it looks as though it's not as high as it was a bit earlier. Now, we'll tell you where we get some rain. We could have some flooding issues, and there is a flood watch that remains in effect until 7 o'clock tonight. And that tornado watch, it's not for everyone. It really is for Lincoln Lincoln, Franklin, and Moore County here in Middle Tennessee, and it does stretch down through portions of Alabama and also into the southern sections of Mississippi as well. So that's really the hot spot for tonight, but we'll keep a very close eye on these storms as they do travel from Alabama up here into the southeast corner of Middle Tennessee. Most likely spot again to see that severe weather is going to be along the Cumberland Plateau and in the southeast corner of Middle Tennessee. Our futurecast is showing us that we'll see that flow coming up from the south. Still some rain on the backside of that frontal system as all this works towards the east, but it's mainly concentrated toward the east. And then those temperatures will continue to drop. The rain moves out in a much different day coming our way tomorrow. We can see some of those thunderstorms in the distance there. That's the view from Cookeville from the EMA camera there, and some of the showers that are behind that front from the camera here at St. Henry School. And the temperatures continue to drop. In downtown, we're down to 64 after reaching a high today of 83 degrees. Right now out at Nashville International, clouds and 63. The wind is variable at 3 miles per hour. And then our high today, 81 degrees. So pretty incredible drop in the temperatures for today. Here's what we're looking for as we move on forward. These temperatures will fall in response to that front, already in the 50s in the northwest corner, still hanging on to the warm air to the south, and this is where we're most likely to see those thunderstorms continue to develop. So a few possible severe thunderstorms tonight, and then all that moves out of here certainly after midnight. 55 degrees by 7 o'clock in the morning, 64 at noon, 68 degrees will be our high for tomorrow. Another nice day on Thursday and Friday in the mid 60s, and for Saturday and Sunday we'll look for mid 70s on Saturday, near 80 degrees for Sunday. So very good news. Things are improving somewhat for our scenario tonight, but we will keep a close eye. We're not totally out of the woods just yet.
We know you'll be on it, Lisa. Thanks.
A case of road rage leads to blows and charges. Both sides say they were justified. You'll hear from those involved, and you can decide coming up tonight at 10.
Channel 4i team exposed something a state agency tried to delete. And now what we've uncovered has gotten the attention of one state lawmaker and even the governor. The story's new at 6:30. Plus,
I'm Dennis Ferrier. It's one of Nashville's most puzzling and agonizing mysteries. How a little girl on the way to the bus stop vanished in thin air. Is there anything new? How is that case?
This is your chance to win $444. Call 737-4968. If you're the fourth caller, you win $444 from Channel 4.
Page after page after page of deleted